My name is Mike Marks. I'm the managing partner of the Indian River Consulting Group. As many of you know, this industry has been a very important part of our practice for over a quarter of a century. And I'm here with some very smart people to talk about the future of the channel. We're talking about the future and where things might go, so there's no certainty, I don't think. And what I'm going to do is ask each of my panelists, I'll start with Jayne, just to talk a little bit about themselves and where they work and they're industry insiders. They're up here as experienced people with some scar tissue, sorry for the analogy, and have some very different perspectives. So Jayne, can you tell everybody a little bit about you?
I'm Jayne Millard, CEO of Turtle & Hughes, a fourth generation distributor operating out of Linden, New Jersey. We have regional presences in the Northeast, Texas, and the West Coast.
So how about you, Chris?
Hi, Chris Hartmann with Rexel Holdings USA, the CEO of the Rexel Group, responsible for the U.S. businesses, of which we have 6, primarily as it pertains to this business, Rexel Inc. and Gexpro, and have been in the industry, pretty much the electrical industry, for about 20 some odd years now.
So, Neal?
Good morning. My name's Neal Keating. I'm the Chairman, President, and CEO of Kaman Corporation, about a $1.7 billion company, about $600 million or so in aerospace and about $1 billion distribution business, primarily in power transmission, motion control, fluid power, and now increasingly in the electrical and automation space as well. About primarily North America, about 245 locations.
Sounds good. Tom, it's your turn.
Hi, everyone. Tom Gross, Vice Chairman of Eaton Corporation, responsible for our electrical business. And, of course, that was recently supersized by the acquisition of Cooper. So we're roughly a $13 billion fairly global electrical equipment supplier. Nice to be here.
So, and I will mention that all of these folks have, as I mentioned before, accumulated some scar tissue and some perspective and have followed the industry as it's continued to grow and change. And I guess my first question for all of you is if you step forward, say 10 years, and you start to think, what's the channel going to look like, this traditional electrical distribution channel, what are some of the thoughts that you might have? This is where we have a moment of silence, and then everybody looks at Neal, who's the outsider, quote unquote, that's now an insider. I mean, what do you guys think?
Well, I'll start. Obviously, my comments will be, from a manufacturer's perspective, but I think it's just a very optimistic time from the perspective of distribution because, the need for safe, reliable, efficient electrical solutions is just growing and growing and growing. And at the same time, our mutual customers are losing, due to retirement, resident knowledge at an alarming rate. And at the same time, these electrical solutions are getting really quite complicated. And so our customers are less able to deal with those. So, I put all that together and a whole bunch of government regulation on top of it and come out, wow, this is a great time to fill a void, and in that void there's a lot of margin and a lot of growth. So I think it's a terrific time, and I think the channel will be much more.
The chaos is creating opportunity.
Yeah, and I think the channel and us as suppliers working together, we're going to be a lot more sophisticated in terms of dealing with all of those things 10 years from now than we are today.
Optimistic.
I'm so happy to hear a manufacturer say there's a lot of margin out there as a distributor.
I said for us.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm also optimistic. For those of you that know me, I am a little frustrated with the regulatory environment, the near-term environment that the economist, very well described. But overall, clearly there's an insatiable appetite for energy around the world. It leans towards electrical. And again, as Tom mentioned, I think if we're able to view ourselves as solutions offerers to our customers around electrical energy efficiency, I think we can be real winners, especially in the U.S.
There's something that really struck me as well. I started Rockwell Automation long time ago, 36 years ago, 35 years ago, and I believe now we're on the cusp of a second transformation, and here's what I mean by that. we've all grown, and a number of us have worked with a number of you, and now are part of you, where we went through this extraordinary transformation from electromechanical controls through, PLCs, communication networks, extraordinarily sophisticated sensors, and now onto, power management. How did that happen? It happened because of the joint commitment between the manufacturers to identify the need, develop the products, and help train us, the channel, to deliver those. And I believe the success of the U.S. economy, in large part, has been because of the work that this group has done and the manufacturers behind us have done. Now, what are we facing? The demographics that Tom talked about. I remember going in, and there were actually plant engineering and plant maintenance staffs at these plants. That doesn't exist in many cases today. And if it does, they don't have the experience. Corporate engineering staffs, give me a break, you got empty buildings. So now, more than ever, if we can combine the knowledge and capability that the manufacturers bring with that understanding of the customer's needs and the local technical support and value add, we can help support that kind of growth that Zanny talked about and make it double or triple what it is today.
Super.
I think there are some significant disruptions in the global economy and in the global market, and I think it's an exciting time for a distributor to position itself and its future in a more agile way, acquiring more technical skills, offering a more complex service offering, and really aligning and partnering with this manufacturers so that our customers have the kind of technical platform that we can provide for them to really compete in a global marketplace. I think it's a very exciting time.
Well, one of the sense I'm taking away from all of you is that this would be a bad time to get out of the industry, right? I mean, we've kind of gone through all the religious experiences and we're kind of through it. But my suspicion is it's going to look a lot different 10 years from now. I mean, I sat with some guys yesterday afternoon that were showing me an iPhone app for salespeople and and it's just there's my sense it's going to look a lot different. There's growth, there's opportunity, but it won't be the same as it was 10 years ago. I mean, what are some of the things that you see as major changes as a group?
The one constant I'm seeing is distributors have to continue to be smarter, better, faster to service their customers.
Smarter, better, faster. That's the ante to stay in the game.
Well, I think I might add to that, to my colleagues in distribution business, to build off of what Tom and Neal said also. I think you should think in terms of thinking broader, too. And that is, if you look at where our manufacturers are going, we like to think in terms of the power continuum. So all the way, not really power generation, but all the way from power, after power is generated, all the way to these smart nodes that are going to be in every one of our facilities and locations. And if you don't start thinking in terms of a broader offering along that power continuum, a full-line electrical distributor is going to be a niche offerer in about 10 years. And
what?
I tell you what, if you're just sitting there in the middle just offering electrical products and you're not thinking about products as they come all the way down that smart grid, and that won't come as quickly as we all thought because of the energy costs in this country, but I think it would behoove us to think in terms of the power continuum and think broadly in addition to what Jayne said.
Power continuum. I've never thought about it from that perspective, but Tom, you look like you got something to say.
Well, I was going to actually pick up on something Neal said, which is, there's been a pretty long history of big technology changes in the electrical industry, fully absorbed by distribution, successfully absorbed, and it's always taken both a distributor to jump in, maybe in the early phase when it's just not so obvious that drive is going to start up well or that PLC is going to work. And it's taken us as manufacturers to try, a lot of effort to try to make it as simple as possible for these things to happen. And, there's just going to be a continuum of technological innovations that are going to just rock the industry. And we've always had to work together, distribution manufacturers, to make that palatable for the customers. And after going through a couple of these, I remember Neal and I were in the Flint, Michigan office together back in the 70s. Every PLC we sent, we had to send an engineer with it. And then it still didn't work sometimes, so...
we can admit it
so
now,
all
right?
kinds of things are coming. But I think the one kind of really big one that I doubt that we've figured out yet successfully is, we can get through product technology revolutions and changes pretty easily, not easily, but pretty adeptly. But this transition to more and more solutions and systems, I hate even saying that word because it's used so much, but that's a whole different thing. And I think we're collectively kind of struggling with that. I think we are as a manufacturer. I think distribution will, whether it's smart grid or, it's a tougher one to get through. And I think that's going to be a defining issue for distribution and manufacturers in the next 10 years, how we get through that transition to systems and solutions.
Because that's, when you think about what customers are looking for today, they're looking for somebody that can add more value, take over more of their responsibility, and really become a partner with them. And I know that's really overused, but if you think about it today, every one of our larger customers is trying to consolidate suppliers. All right? I mean,
Fair
it's just
call.
part of what we deal with. So what does that mean? It means you have to offer more. And part of it certainly is the ability to have a broader range of products. I think it's electrical and automation. I think it's all the points around the smart grid. I think it's other product lines as well that they buy, whether it's fluid power, whether it's power transmission, motion control. Some combination where you can meet a higher percentage of their needs and then make sure they apply it right. Because when I think back to the late 70s, 80s, there were specialists at our distributors, okay? Now, we're talking about engineering staffs that really act as an arm of our customers, whether it's an MRO industrial plant or whether it's an OEM. So I think that's one of the really big changes that we're going to see is a much higher concentration of engineering effort focused at bridging that gap between the products today and that end customer need.
I agree, and I think the importance of how those engineers partner with our manufacturers to develop innovative solutions is really going to be the key for what sets a distributor apart now, but certainly in the future.
Yeah, it seems like at the same time we have to work together to get the logistics costs down so we can invest in those higher value front end kinds of smart people, right? So I think that's another big to-do that we got to get after.